Some insane news, specifically for US citizens. This is very important if you plan to renounce your US citizenship in the future. Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus, has been arrested in Spain on US tax fraud charges. They claim he owed over $50 million in US taxes at the time of his US citizenship renunciation that he did not pay. And the reason I suspect that he didn't pay this is because it was all in Bitcoin. And it was all probably on hardware wallets, although in 2014, I don't think that there were any hardware wallets. So I think they were just in exchanges. And at that time, nobody really knew that much about crypto. Obviously, the IRS didn't know that much about crypto. But now, 10 years later, he renounced in 2014. They've arrested him now in 2024. And they found that he had 131,000 Bitcoin at the time of renunciation that he did not declare. At the time of his renunciation, the Bitcoin were worth around $871 per Bitcoin, meaning that he had over $100 million in crypto that he did not declare, and therefore he had to pay tax on that $100 million. And he owed over $50 million in taxes. When you renounce your US citizenship, you're supposed to say everything you have, all your worldwide assets. If you bought real estate in another country, if you have crypto in another country, if you move money somehow to a company, but that company is partly owned by you, or if you have a fund in another country or a trust, you need to report that when you renounce, because that is all taxable on the day of renunciation. You don't need to pay the tax the day that you renounce, but you need to pay it the year after on your expatriation tax return. You do a final tax return, you pay your last taxes, and you're done. But I suspect that Roger Ver just thought, I'm going to renounce. I have 131,000 Bitcoin. They're not really going to find out about this. And now 10 years later, they've gathered all the data. They've gathered all the Bitcoin. They've tracked him. Probably he's also been very critical of the US government and the IRS, and now they are charging him with tax fraud. This is very scary, frankly, 10 years later. But it just shows that you cannot beat a government at tax evasion, at tax fraud, at hiding crypto. A lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, can I just put it in a hardware wallet? I have $20 million, but I'll renounce and it's all in a hardware wallet, so nobody's going to find out. The IRS is not that smart. These people have chain analysis tools that will blow your mind. And these people are committed to getting that money. And they know how to get it. They know how much you have. If you renounce your citizenship and they find that you have a social media profile, and a couple of months after renunciation, a couple of years after renunciation, you're flying private, you're going on yachts, you're buying real estate all over the world, and when you renounce, you put that you had $200,000, they're going to investigate because you obviously didn't buy a yacht with $200,000. Maybe it went 2x to $400,000. You still don't have enough money to buy a yacht. So you have some money that you didn't declare. Don't think that you're smarter than the IRS. Don't think that you're smarter than the US. You are not. You are not smarter than these governments. You're not smarter than these Department of Justice. This is a huge lesson. 10 years later, they can catch you. I don't want that to happen to you. So if you plan on renouncing US citizenship, one, get a US tax lawyer to help you. We have one. He's helped me. He helped me renounce. We talked about, okay, Bitcoin is down. Can I renounce now? I renounced when Bitcoin was quite down, to be honest. I didn't make that much profit on the time of renunciation because it was a bear market. And now I've got some gains that are not taxable in the US because they're after renunciation. So you have to talk to a tax expert and declare everything you have. Don't put it all in a trust. Don't put it all in a ledger or a Trezor. And then say, oh, the IRS is not that smart. Like, these embassy people are not that smart. They can catch you 10 years later when you, completely forgot even about your renunciation date or your renunciation tax returns. And file your last tax return. Because if you don't file it, you think, I can just leave the US. I don't care. And pay your taxes. I know it sucks. I know it's hard to see that money going to Ukraine, to Israel, to being wasted, but either get out of the country and not pay any tax legally, or pay what you owe. try to reduce it as much as possible. There are some exemptions. If you're worth $100 million, not much you can do. You're going to be a covered expatriate. You're going to pay some tax, but don't lie. Oleg Tinkov, the previous owner of Tinkoff Bank in Russia, same deal. He was arrested in London on US tax fraud charges for over $500 million. So obviously we're talking about big money, $100 million, $500 million. But what if you evaded $5 million? Maybe they go after you too. Maybe they see that you're flaunting a luxurious lifestyle and you didn't pay your $5-6 million. The US has power all over the world, especially in developed countries. You're hanging out in Europe, you're hanging out in Latin America, you're hanging out in Asia. They have power over most countries. So if you're renouncing, honestly, this is just a very scary news. When I saw this, I thought 10 years later, they're going at him. 10 years. And I know a lot of people don't like Roger Ver. They say he's trying to kill Bitcoin, but it shows you how much the IRS knows about you, how long they're willing to wait to charge you, how long they're willing to compile all that evidence. Get your taxes properly done. Find a good US tax lawyer. Don't find some guy that tells you just hide it in a ledger. Never hide your assets from any government. If you're leaving a country, pay your tax. And renounce at the time that is the best for your net worth. If your net worth is down, if you have a spike down, renounce at that time. Get out, pay the exit tax, or maybe your exit tax is not payable. You're not a covered expatriate because it goes below that 2 million threshold. You renounce at that time, you don't need to pay an exit tax, and then later on you appreciate the gains after. So take this very seriously. This is not a game. This is not a cat and mouse. They will catch you if you F around with them. So I just wanted to leave you with this. To me, it's absolutely insane. If you want to get a second citizenship, if you're an American and you're scared about this, if you want to get a second citizenship, you want to renounce your citizenship, do everything legally, you definitely want to check out this video right here on the best citizenships by investment. If you're a crypto entrepreneur, crypto investor, and you want to invest into a country, potentially in crypto, get a citizenship in that country, and then renounce your citizenship, definitely check them out right here.